Hello everyone, this is Josh from Rishka's Wrenches, and in this video we are going to be getting my 1995 ZX7 ready for even more fun on the road than it already is. On the last video we got this thing running. And it runs great, but I did take it around the block and I found a few problems with it. Nothing really super big. I do have to get a new fuel pump or new fuel cap, which I do have over there on my parts bench. And on top of that, a mechanical issue with it is I have found that the temperature is not getting up to temp. It will stay up at temp around town, but as soon as I get it above 55 miles an hour, it's cooling right back off to the bottom of the gauge, so my thermostat is junk. So I'm gonna replace that, put my new fuel cap on, mount my GoPro, which I have bought a few of those, do a few cosmetic things here and there, like mounting a phone mount, cleaning up some of the fairings and things like that, wiping all this oil and junk I've got on here, just getting it cleaned up and ready to actually put some miles on the saddle on this thing. And I've got most of the parts over here. I've got a little knockoff GoPro case in here. These cameras are junk, but all the equipment and everything and hardware and all that stuff is basically legitimate GoPro, so it's worth it basically just for the mounts and everything. This will mount to my handlebars and everything like that over there, give me a view looking back at me. I've got one for my helmet, I've got my thermostat here, my gas cap, my phone mount. Like I said, just a few things here and there to get this thing ready to actually ride, do some vlogging and things like that. And well, first things first, I want to get this thermostat in here because like I said, it rides amazingly. Just tripped over that jack there. Rides amazingly. Around town, temperature sits right in the middle where it should be, but as soon as I get above 55, it cools right down, and I do not want that. This thing, you have to choke it to get it to start back up whenever I pull into gas stations and things like that. So I want this thing operating at perfectly the right temp. I don't want it too cool or too hot. That'll make it run weird. It'll run lean, hot, things like that. I want it operating the way it should. So we're going to throw this new thermostat in here, and I'm hoping that it's right here in this housing, because surprisingly I could not find anything online saying where the thermostat on this thing is at, just that you can buy new ones. So I'm going to hope that it's right in here. Now, without me yammering anymore, let's get into actually working on this thing. I'm going to pop this out, put the new thermostat in there, and hopefully it's going to fix our cooling issues. All right, and there's just a couple Phillips head screws holding this thing in, and I'm probably going to lose a little bit of coolant, but that's all right. I can top it back up. Old frying pan. This will do the trick. I hope. Probably won't, but it'll at least make me feel better about myself. There we go. All right, just like that, yep, our thermostat's in there. Sweet, that's exactly what I wanted to see. Like I said, there is like no documentation doing this online, so I'm super happy that's right where it is. But right there, 3 bolts, and your thermostat is right on the inside right there. So we'll pop that out, pop the new one in. All right, and there's a gasket in here. Mine's in good shape, and I kind of figured I wouldn't have to take it apart, and yep. See, that's exactly what I expected. Look at that thermostat right there. That's the problem of my issue. All right, and as you guys can tell, the difference is pretty darn obvious. So the cooling channel that this thing blocks off, you can see right there that lid goes in there. Let me pull this one out of the packaging so I can explain this to you guys better. All right, so as you guys can see right here, this thing's completely blocked off. It has a small little weep hole to let a little bit of coolant pass through and let your motor breathe at least a little bit until it gets up to operating temperature. Now, once the thing gets up to operating temperature, this spring gets pushed down and coolant is able to flow through that little bit right there, like how this one is, you guys can see right there. Now, the more coolant flowing through, the cooler your motor gets. The less coolant, the hotter it gets. This thing, at a certain temperature, lets it open and close and keeps your bike or car or whatever has a thermostat on it running at the right temperature that it should be. Not too hot, not too cold, right in the middle where it's running happy and not burning too little fuel, too much fuel. It's getting the good emissions and everything like that where it should be. So this is definitely 100% the issue on why my bike is fine around town, you know, in traffic and around town. It stays just, you know, fine in the middle of the gauge. But as soon as I get up to operating temperature, all that coolant flowing through there, getting cold air blown on it, it's cooling it right down and making it way too cool and cooling it off way too bad. So we're going to pop the new one in there. I'm going to throw the new gas cap on there and then put my camera mounts on it and give it a good little wash and probably lube up the chain. This thing's going to be ready to ride. Word of advice, if you have animals and everything, don't do this where they can get to it. Coolant is actually sweet. So and it is toxic. So if you have an animal or something like that, they can lick this stuff, and if they get enough of it, it will kill them. So be careful with that. All right, now that we got that thing back secure, move on to this gas cap. Take this tape off, take the old gas cap out of there, take my old bolts and everything, pop the new gas cap on there, and make this thing actually be able to put fuel in it, because this thing's a pain in the butt. I think I told you guys a little bit of last time of how bad this thing is, but it really, really is. I have to sit in there. This thing doesn't even move anymore. I have to sit in there with some pliers and hit it at just the right area and fiddle around. It's a pain in the butt. So we're actually gonna put a good gas cap on this thing. There we go. I didn't put up too much of a fight that time. That's surprising. Normally it's pretty bad. It'll open, right? Supposed to open. Sweet, doesn't open. Awesome. I love Chinesium parts, dude. I really, oh, hey, there we go. Just gotta kind of play with it. I can relate. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, I see why. The old, I must have bent the inlet a little bit when I was using the old one trying to get it out, because it is a little bit of a tweak right there. I'm gonna have to adjust. There we go. Now I bet she opens and closes a lot better. Oh yeah. Yeah, there we go. Now we're good. All right, so I'm doing some post-editing here. I guess I forgot to record a little thing saying what I was doing here. But basically the bar that holds my fairing and supports it on the front end, the little threaded inserts that kind of hold it, the bolts and everything like that, are starting to spin inside of the frame. So I need to fix that here. And that's what's happening right now. So what I'm doing, it's kind of hard to explain without you guys actually seeing it, and I can't really show you guys without you guys just being my eyeballs. So what's happening on aluminum and things like that, there are what's things as called threaded inserts. They're a piece of steel that has threads in it, because aluminum's super soft. It's super easy to pull threads out of. A little piece in there sits into the aluminum. It's got, like, you know, lip on either end to kind of hold it into there. And what it's doing is it's just spinning. So what I'm doing now is I'm putting dimples around the outside of like picture this is the threaded insert, right? My hand right here is the aluminum that's holding it. Right now, it's doing this. So whenever I try to tighten the bolt, it's just doing this. What I'm doing now is punching a hole here, hitting it a couple times. That'll kind of mushroom out the material and push it. Obviously, you know, when you dig a hole, like it's like thinking about dirt. You know, when you dig a hole, you got to push the dirt out to either side, or else you're just going to be in a hole that, you know, doesn't go anywhere. You got to move the dirt somewhere. I'm pushing basically the dirt out to this side and making that hole a little bit tighter so it grips it without spinning is what I'm doing right now. That's called like dimpling. I think that's always what I've called it. I don't know if there's an actual technical term for it, but I've always called it dimpling. So doing that a couple times just to hold that threaded insert in there so it actually gets some traction, so I can put a bolt on there and hopefully not have it just slip loose like it's doing. All right, dimpling sort of worked. They're on there pretty snug, but I'm not super comfortable with how much this thing's still wiggling, and I don't feel like tightening them anymore because I know them dimples are not gonna hold on for a lot of ugga-duggas and really tight bolts. So what I'm gonna do now, grab some zip ties, because I'm the master of zip ties, and secure it to the frame with said zip tie. Now you can call me what you want. Bad with zip ties, you can't. Look at that, I'm rocking the whole bike with that thing. It ain't going nowhere. Alrighty, so I am out of actual chain lube, but there is a little bit of rust and things like that from this chain from sitting for so long. So I'm gonna cover it in some PB Blaster. This will at least loosen it up and lube it up a little bit, get some of that rust flake off of there, and then I'll ride it for a little bit, a couple miles, put some actual chain lube on it after this thing kind of flushes it out and gets all that rust and gunk out of there. So I'm gonna cover this chain up. And, well, that's kind of it. Lubing a chain is pretty easy. A lot of people don't do it, and they wonder why their chain explodes on them. So, like I said, this thing's going to break away any rust and crap that's inside of these chain links. I'm going to run it for a couple miles, then I'll put actual chain link oil on it. You want to keep these things oiled, because if they get dry, they will snap, and if they snap and you don't have a chain guard on your bike and boots on, that chain will probably go right into your ankle and either shatter your ankle or just make it a very bad day. Or even if you get away with wearing boots and having all these chain guards and everything like that, you're gonna be stuck on the side of the road with no chain. So it's a bad day. Lube your chains. It's super easy, it's super cheap, so do it. All right, well, with all that done, I think this thing's probably officially more zip ties than it is actual sport-looking bike, but these fairings are secure and they're not going anywhere. So now I can actually clean this thing up and give it a wash, because I mean, like, look at this windshield right here. It's just coated in dirt and oil and grossness. Can't see out of it. I mean, the whole fairing itself is gross. I'm gonna get this thing at least a good wipe down. May not be a good wash at like a car wash or something like that, but it's at least gonna get most of the oil and debris off this thing and make it look at least a little bit more presentable. All right, well, that's at least presentable from the front. Let's move on to the sides. All right, now from the side it actually looks presentable, so let's go up into the dash area, because I mean the underside of this windscreen's so gross. All my gauges, I had to just wipe them off mid-ride because I could not read them at all. It was bad. Oh yeah. Now I can actually see my gauges and everything and through my windscreen. Might have a little bit of white marks on it from my wet wipe because they're not glass wipes, but that's a hell of a lot better than what it was. All right, now, since you're at the perfect angle and we have it all clean and everything like that, let's mount some of my riding accessories, shall we? First things first, let's go with this phone mount. Now, this isn't the motorcycle mount that a lot of people go with, but I actually had pretty good reviews on eBay, which is where I bought it from. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm not gonna, you know, trust it super hardcore till I take it out on the road a little bit. I'm going to be looking at my phone every second of my ride to make sure it's not going anywhere. But there was a lot of people that said they use this thing on their motorcycles and they don't have a lot of issues. So and just like that. There we go. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Loosen up the thing on the back to actually adjust it. Boom. Just like that, I got a phone mount. That ain't going nowhere. I'm actually rocking the whole bike with that. I trust that. And it'll fit my phone perfectly. I don't doubt that. That's not the most beautiful phone mount in the world, but it'll do. It'll do. All right, now do the same thing. My little knockoff GoPro right here. Perfect. Now we got a camera mount and a phone mount. It's cleaned up. Everything's secured the way it should be. I might throw a couple more zip ties on that, keep my wires secure. But basically everything's cleaned up, secured. I've got a fuel cap on here. I've got my dash clean. I've got my fenders secure. I've got my thermostat switched out. And definitely needed it. Got my chain lubed. I got everything done that I need to. So next time you guys see me on this thing, we're going to be out for a ride, bud. All right, well, just like that, we got everything assembled that we need to. I got my phone mount, my camera mount, everything's cleaned up, my thermostat's replaced, and it definitely really needed that. All my fenders are secure, everything like that. It's exactly where it needs to be for me to actually do some recording on it. And well, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have if my cameras were halfway decent. I had to actually cave in and buy some GoPros. Now, the camera mount you see that I mounted on this thing is the same hardware as a GoPro, but it is a knockoff. Cameras themselves, they look like they were a GoPro Hero 4 knockoff, which came out in 2012, and I figured, you know what, they probably are all right by now. They probably record okay. I don't need any crazy super wide angles, 360s right now. I'm just starting out. I'll just stick to halfway decent. As long as it record in 1080p, 60 FPS, I'll be happy. And, well, that's where I kind of got a shock. Because these things were advertised actually as 4K 30 FPS, 1080p 60 FPS, and I was like, you know what, like I said, probably an all right little camera. I mean, they were 30 bucks with the hard case and all the mounting equipment and everything like that. I figured, you know what, I said it's probably an old patent that expired. I mean, it's probably going to be okay. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I can at least start a little bit of motovlogging and get some videos and stuff like that with them, learn how to set them up, and then buy some GoPros when I'm ready for them. You know, if one of these things falls off because I mounted it in a stupid spot and I banged it, you know, 20, 30 bucks, I'm not really going to be that worried about it, but a couple $100 GoPro would kind of suck. And while I got them out of the box they came in, thought, you know what, at least the hardware itself is GoPro, so if, you know, any mounts and stuff like that I can reuse. And I went to record and they look like this. And well, my house is not that yellow in real life, and looked at the software and everything. They're recording in, like, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like 680 by 720 or something like that. They were complete and utter trash. Now, thankfully, the seller did give me my money back and let me keep them so I can at least reuse the camera mounts and everything like that, but I had to buy actual GoPros. I went and caved in and bought a couple GoPro Hero 4s, which, like I said, came out in 2012, but they still record in 1080p 60 FPS or 4K 30 FPS. They are upscaled. They're not true 4K, but they are completely fine for what I'm doing. Well, one more thing, because I'm a goofy gremlin, I'm going to take this thermostat that's completely wonked out and probably the worst one I've ever seen, and I'm going to make a gremlin bell out of it. Now, on a sport bike, it's kind of hard to make a gremlin bell, because on a normal bike, you put them kind of underneath the motor, kind of the thing that's closest to the ground. They call it a gremlin bell because people believe that gremlins, bad spirits, grab onto motorcycles, and this thing is something that's like a faux grab. They grab it and they fall off of it, you know, a bunch of old, you know, wives' tale, things like that. But can't really do that super kind of normally on a sport bike like this, but I can kind of tie it right about here and just have it kind of hanging out to be haha funny. So let's just do that. And well, because I'm a goofy little idiot, there it is. Look at that, hanging out. Put a little bit of tape there so it doesn't completely scratch out my paint. I'm less worried about the paint scratching and more worried about the noise. So if it taps there, it'll be a little bit quieter and I probably won't realize it. So look at that, gremlin bell. But without me dragging along for longer, this was Josh from Riskers Wrenches. I hope you guys are having a great week, day, night, whatever it is. I hope you guys are having a great one. We are super close to getting monetized, and I cannot thank you guys enough here on this channel. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I do my best to like, respond, comment, anything like that, any comments you see on the video. If you guys are excited to see me motovlog, or you want to see me do a few other things on the channel, let me know down in the comments. You guys' feedback is what drives this channel. But without further ado, this was Josh from Riskers Wrenches. Like, comment, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe if you like this type of stuff. I do basically only mechanic stuff here on this channel. I have fixed up a console in the past, and I didn't really get a pretty good response to that video, so I'm probably not going to do anything like that in the future. But this is a mechanics channel. So this was Josh from Riskers Wrenches. Hope you guys are having a great one. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. I didn't want to be the guy that, you know, filmed random children without their consent. That'd probably put me on a watch list somewhere.